Hey, hello people, welcome to Gurukula. I'm Jai. So today in this video we will be talking about the technologies that are used in web application development. Web application developers choose to use different technologies that completely depends on the nature, characteristics and requirements of a web applications that they are building. Having a good or decent understanding of the technologies used in developing a web application will be an added tool in your pen testing arsenal. So here is an overview of key technologies that are commonly used in developing a web application. So without any further delay, let's get into the topic. So previously in our series, we have spoke about the various aspects and the fundamentals of web application pen testing. If you have directly landed onto this particular video, this is a series of videos covering fundamentals of web application pen testing. So link is there in the description for the complete playlist. I recommend you to please check it out. Web application development involves various technologies, each serving a specific purpose in creating a fully functional and interactive web applications. So when we speak about the technologies that are used, it is broadly classified into two types. One is the front-end technologies and the next is the back-end technologies. Now we will see one after the other. Talking about the front-end technologies, the front end of the web application refers to the part that users interact with indirectly. It includes everything that the user see and experiences in their web browser, such as layout, design, text, images, and even the buttons. It focuses on creating a visually appealing and user-friendly interface, ensuring that the application is responsive and functional across different devices and various screen sizes. So when we talk about the different programming languages that are used in the front-end technologies, the major programming languages are HTML, that is Hypertext Markup Language. So this is a standard markup language for creating web pages, and this actually defines the structure and layout of a web page. And we will be using CSS, which is Cascading Style Sheets, which is used to describe the presentation of a web page, including layout, color, and the fonts. And CSS allows for responsive design to adapt the layout for different screen sizes. And talking about the last one, that is JavaScript, the programming language that enables interactive web pages. This is used for client-side scripting to create dynamic content, form validation, animations, and much more. And moving on and discussing what are all the various frameworks that are used in the front-end technologies, there are three major frameworks that are used at the front-end technologies. They are React, Angular, and Bootstrap. So React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces, particularly if the web application deals with a single page application. Angular, the framework for developing dynamic web apps developed by Google. So this application uses TypeScript and it is a superscript of the Java. Bootstrap, the front-end framework for developing responsive and mobile-first websites. So this primarily uses CSS and some JavaScript for the development framework. So these are all the various technologies that are used to develop a web application in a front-end perspective. Moving on to the back-end perspective, back-end of a web application consists of the server and then the database, and it actually handles data storage, processing, and server-side functions, ensuring that the front-end can operate smoothly and interact with the data. So moving on and further discussing the technologies that are used in back-end. So first we will start with the programming languages. So the various programming languages that are used at the backend technologies are Python, which is popular for its simplicity and readability, and next is the JavaScript, which allows JavaScript to be used on the server side, and Ruby, which is known for its simplicity and convention over configuration philosophy, and next is PHP, which is widely used for server side scripting, and C#, which is a framework for building web apps and services, especially with .NETs. And moving on, having the database management system, there are actually two types of database management systems. So the first type of database management system is relational, and the second type of database is non-relational database. So when I say relational database handles data in the form of table which has multiple rows and columns. It will have several tables and it will also specify the relationship between each and every table. And when I say non-relational database, this type of databases will store information in different formats like documents, sometimes graphs, and sometimes pictures even. So it contains data or it stores data in different formats, and these type of databases are suitable for large scale and distributed data and real-time applications which actually scales to massive numbers. So when I talk about the relational databases, we have SQL database, and when I talk about non-relational databases, we have NoSQL databases. So that is what mentioned in our slide. We have SQL and then NoSQL. So SQL is a very good example of relational databases. NoSQL is a very good example of non-relational databases. So when we talk about the SQLs, there are different types of databases which is available. So out of them are MySQL is one database which we are using, and next one is PostgreSQL, and the next one is SQLite. And actually we are talking about NoSQL, then there are certain examples like MongoDB, and then CouchDB, and finally Firebase. So these are all the various databases that we actually use or primarily used at the backend technologies. And moving on, then we have the web servers. There are different types of web servers that we use. Then primarily used three web servers are Apache, Nginx, and Microsoft ISS. Apache is a widely used open source web server. Nginx is known for its high performance and scalability, and Microsoft ISS is a web server for hosting web applications, especially on Windows service. So these are all the various technology, programming languages, databases, and web servers that is used with respect to backend technologies. Moving on and discussing the various frameworks that are used at the backend technologies. First we will start off with Django, and Django is completely built, or the programming language that is used in Django is Python. This is a high-level Python web framework that encourages rapid development, clean and programmatic design. So this includes an ORM authentication and an admin interface as well. And the next majorly used framework is Flask, and this is also based on Python programming language, and this is a micro framework for Python, and it is lightweight and it also allows a greater flexibility and control. And the next majorly used database is Express.js, and where we will be using JavaScript as a programming language. So JavaScript as the programming language, and this is a minimal and flexible Node.js web application framework that provides a robust set of features for web and mobile applications. And then we have frameworks like Symfony and then ASP.NET, where Symfony is developed by using PHP, and ASP.NET is developed by using C# programming language. So each and every framework is developed by using different programming languages, and they comes with their own merits and then the demerits. So that's all about the frameworks that are used in backend technologies. Now then comes an interesting word, that is an technology stack. What do you actually mean by the technology stack? So technology stack is nothing but, as we already mentioned, a web application will not be developed by using a constant set of technologies. Web developers may choose different technologies for in a combination of front end and back end to develop a particular web application, and as already mentioned, it completely depends on the requirement characteristics and what exactly the application requires. So it's all about choosing an proper operating system, what type of server that we are using, what type of database we will be using, what type of server side scripting language we are using, and then the frameworks that we are going to choose to work on. So we start off with a proper architecture, and then first one. So there are multiple technology stacks, but we will discuss only very few technology stacks that are widely in use. So first we can start off with LAMP architecture. So LAMP architecture, the L stands for Linux, which is an operating system that we are using, and then A stands for Apache, that is the web server that is being used in this technology stack, and then we use MySQL as the relational database management system, and the programming language that is used for scripting at the server side is PHP over here. So this is the technology stack. So this is an web application that is completely developed using Linux operating system, Apache as the server, MySQL as the querying language, and PHP for the scripting. And the second type of technology stack is mean. So most of the job recruitments will ask you for the technology stack that you are familiar with, and these technology stacks are like mean technology stack, saying that we use MongoDB as the database that we are using, which especially comes from NoSQL database, that is non-relational database, and then for E it is express.js. So that is the web application framework, especially for Node.js, and then we will be using Angular as the front end. We'll be using Angular as the framework for front end, and finally we will have the runtime environment is Node.js. So Node.js is the runtime environment. So this is one type of technology stack, and the next stack that we can use is this is a derived version of mean, that is MERN architecture. So MERN, so MERN architecture. So this MERN architecture, everything remains same as the previous one, but except the Angular, we will be using the React for the front end library, and all other remaining things stays constant. And the last one that we can discuss is the LEMP architecture, or the LEMP technology stack. So here in the LEMP technology stack, the L stands for again Linux operating system, and then we will be using Nginx as the web server, and we will be using MySQL or Maria database. Maria database is again a type of database that we are using over here, and then finally we can be using PHP. And this is almost similar to the LAMP architecture, except the server that we are using. So all other remains the same. So this is what something we call it as the technology stack. So in order to develop a particular web application, you need an operating system, a server, a database, a scripting language, and some frameworks to develop to make it a functional one. So you can choose any technology that we have discussed so far from the front end and as well as the back end, or in any combination that you can choose, and this combination is what we technically call it as the technology stack. And here is a table for your reference. You can pause the video here, and then you can see that this is the technology stack that is used by very famous web applications like Netflix, Facebook, LinkedIn, Airbnb, Uber, Spotify, Amazon, etc. So now I believe that you might have got an idea of what the technology stacks are and how the web applications are being developed. So I'm not expecting that the viewers or being an web application pen tester to be an expert in all of these technologies, but as said in the introduction, if you are familiar with some technologies or widely used technology stacks in the web application development, then definitely that is going to help you a lot in your web application pen testing career. So That's the end of the video. So today in this particular video we spoke about the programming languages in both front-end and back-end and the frameworks that we have used in the front-end and back-end, and we have also discussed the widely used technology stacks for the web application development, and I've also given you an example of the tech stacks which is used in the famous web applications. So that's all for this particular video, and the next video we will be talking about how to set up a DVWA, which is actually an vulnerable web application, into the Kali Linux. So it is actually like setting up an environment. So I will talk about this, how to set up a DVWA in Kali Linux, in the next video. So until then, I'm going to see you in the next video. Until then, it's bye from Jai and happy learning.